I'm still here. I can't go back.
He's going to airport in January.
Is that true? Yeah, we're on. Is that true? Okay, big happy birthdays. First of all, to Shai Akoko. Very big happy birthday. Shai, how old are you now? I'm not selling anything. Like, you can tell me the truth. 16? Okay, very good. To Ari Leib Schraub, very big. Hayim? Bye bye Hayim? I mean, English, doesn't matter. English? Yeah, it doesn't matter. English? Very nice. Ari Leib Schraub. Wait, 18. This is 18? Whoa. Is there anything that's 18 anymore? Like, can you do anything at 18? Because used to be you could buy cigarettes, you could go to the army. Yeah. Woohoo! Voting. Oh, wow. There's definitely someone yelling at their screen right now. Voting, you genius. Cigarettes, really? Right. That is pretty important. Okay. Oh, no. Aryeh Leib Traub's opinion matters now. This is, buckle up, people. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Elia. Right on time. All right. We did edit last week, right? Okay. Well, we'll get to it. Yeah. What? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, right. So we have been following the, loosely the Maharal's Pirush on Pirkei Avos this entire time. On this part of the Mishnah, we're going to veer slightly, which is always how you get people to listen, because everyone's like, "Whoa, what does Maharal say?" Or, "No, I'm really interested in that." It's nothing like that. It's just that it gets very theological, very into abstract, very into creation, very into, or at least the way Rabbi Berkowitz taught it to us. And it's going to put us into little loops of circles. It's a conversation that we can have after, but it's just going to put us into loops of circles. So we're going to go in a little bit of a different shot here. Mar b'Torah and Mar b'chaim. So first of all, the whole first part of this Mishnah is not that these things are bad. Notice how the Mishnah speaks. Marba, and I know we keep recapping the first part over here every single time we try getting to Marba Torah, but it's important. Marba Basar, Marba Rima, all the Marbas over here are not saying that you shouldn't have any of this in your life. In Judaism, in Torah, there is nothing I can think of, maybe there is something, but there's nothing I can think of that is across the board always not allowed. You're not avodah zarah. Okay. But that's like saying drugs aren't allowed. Nah, not really. All right, we'll deal with that soon. Let me comb that one over. There isn't much that we say is not allowed, even avodah zarah really is going to fall into a gray area over there, because what avodah zarah is finding a new deity, but sticking with the original deity is still allowed. What I mean by not allowed is that there is no time for that action or any action to be done, to be had, to be experienced. What the Torah says is everything in its right place and right time. Now, a lot of people are going to want to jump on this, and we're like, oh, whose right place, whose right time? This divine God and the rabbis, they're trying to control us. Okay, they're doing a bad job. Let's just say that. If what the Torah was put out into this world to do was this ingenious document of control, they're really doing a horrific job. But, okay, maybe, I don't know. The point is that there is nothing that is not allowed. I mean, you can say non-kosher food. No, food is what I'm talking about. Food is allowed. You're right. Right place, right time, right things are allowed. Within, right? Everything is allowed. Everything is not only allowed, it's celebrated. Every aspect of humanity is celebrated. Now, this isn't, we do need the Torah, and it's originally a Torah idea, but this is an idea in anything. Anything in excess is going to be bad. There's not a single thing in excess that's good. One of the healthiest things a human being can do, is sleep. It's one of the healthiest things a person can do for their body. Someone who sleeps too much, it's extremely detrimental for us. Mentally, emotionally, physically, very bad for you. Someone who sleeps too little, very bad for you. Just the right amount of time. So you want to know how much that is? Go look at a Rambam. But just the right amount of time. Life is about the nuances of knowing when and where. You can have a guy who's extremely funny, right? Stop pointing. You can have a guy who's very talented in humor, right? Everyone wants this guy at their party. Everybody wants him around. He's not a big hit at a funeral, though. Like, people would not really take too kindly to celebration of life when he's sitting there. No, I'm talking about making random jokes at this guy's graveside. Like, you heard one about the dwarf and the priest? Like, what? That's just the wrong time, buddy. Like, what are you doing? Like, no, this one's a killer. Oh, oops, sorry. Like, it's not. It's so bad. It's so not. That would have been good actually, but still, it's not. It's just right place, right time. I try telling this to my son all the time. You know, when he's saying a joke to the other kids and it's driving him crazy. I'm like, you know, time and place. It's the key to life. It's the key to life. Time and place. Knowing when, where, how much to do of something. This comes from emotional and spiritual health. An unhealthy person will get a rise out of something and will try using it all the time. That's when they fall over into excess. That's when they fall over into using something excessively, into being over-dedicated to something. So even if we're talking about exercise, we're talking about food, we're talking about, I'm talking about like things that are healthy for us. Even health food, is what I meant by food. Any of these things, when we obsess over these things, it ends up bad. Even religion. We'd be going against religion with this. But if somebody is Khalila dying, and we're too busy keeping Shabbos to help them, you're over on religion then. But I'm just saying that you went too far. If somebody's going to say that this person's emotional, there's a tshuva about people wearing tefillin, people with OCD, with actual diagnosed OCD, not, yeah, it's not like they like their dashboard clean, like actual OCD people from wearing tefillin. The suffering, the anguish of a person with OCD trying to wear tefillin is horrific. Is it on the right side? Or they keep checking. They drive themselves crazy with it. So they have a thing not to wear tefillin. But they don't wear tefillin until they're well enough to. They have a thing that they shouldn't wear. Someone's going to be frummer than that and wear tefillin because he's very into religion. You're wrong. You're not holding in the right space of. You're unhealthy. You're in excess. Now, in reality, obviously, what I believe in religion is that everything is not about excess. Everything is about where it should be, and what learning Torah is learning time and place, learning what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. Who do we want to learn that from? We want to learn that from whoever created all of this. So therefore, we learn Torah. And then for everyone who's like, oh, what does that have to do with an ox goring? Okay, we could get to that. But all of Torah is going to be holding the secrets of life. It's the blueprint of life. So anything in excess, that's why it says marbe basar. Right? It's not even saying, it's saying this uncontrolled. Now, it's not really saying that, it's saying this above the space that it's supposed to be. This being infused into your life as a stance. Somebody who is too marbe basar, that's what's going to happen. Marbe nechasim, marbe nashim. All these things are going to happen. It's not that these things within themselves are intrinsically bad or evil. It's that them controlling us, them having having a center stage in our life, having a central focus in our life, are going to be unhealthy for us. Whereas now these are all physical things. Whereas when we say Mar b'Torah, Mar b'Chaim, the more Torah, the more life. Marba is keeping its same meaning of this centralized focus, of maybe even going over the centralized focus. And it's saying Marba will be okay. Not only that, you will reap benefits from it. To the degree of someone who has more money than they need. There's nothing wrong with having more money than you need. There's something wrong with needing more money than you need. That's a whole different story of a whole different time. But having more money than you need or wanting more money than you need, that's a whole different, that's totally okay. And it'll be something that can technically benefit you. You can help other people. You can, Marba Torah, Marba Chaim. So why Torah? So we have to dissect these. Why Torah? So we said already, Torah it's the whole blueprint to everything that we are. The more Torah we learn, and we're talking about Torah here, like real learning Torah. It's not, that sixth grade Gemara share that you didn't like. Leave all of the silliness, all of the a trauma. It's easy to say, leave all the trauma behind, but leave everything out of it for 1 minute. I'm not talking about the schooling of it. I'm not talking about the testing on it. I'm not talking about the society around it. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about sitting and connecting to the world and our Creator through learning Torah. Through actual sitting and learning Torah. Marba Torah, Marba Chaim. The more Torah we have, the more Chaim we have. Why? It's not to say, what's classically interpreted as you're going to live a longer life. It's not saying Arichas Yamim. It's saying the more valuable your life is. Why? When I know right place, right time, when I know how to properly live, the life I'm living is better. I overheard these two old men talking in a park one time. They were both exercising. I overheard them talking, and I joined in the conversation because there's nothing better than two old men, middle of the day in a park having a conversation. It gets crazy at some point. Borderline racist usually, but it gets crazy. And these guys were talking about working out. There's nothing better than listening to two old men talk about working out, because they're talking about working out when they were younger and how everyone was the same. It was amazing. It was a great conversation. One of them said, someone else that was standing there said, well, it's great that you guys are doing that, because you look so much younger than you actually are. Like they were in their 80s, I think, and someone said they look 60. I still die. I never know if that's like a compliment or not, but you can't say 20 because everyone knows you're lying. I don't know. I just don't say things like that. But the guy was like, you look young, you're going to live longer. And one of them said, Valdi. He goes, I'm not doing this so I can live longer. I'm not doing this so I look younger. He's like, I'm doing this because it helps me today. He said, I feel better today. I feel better right now that I just exercised. In this moment, I feel better. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it so that, I live 20 minutes longer when I'm dying. Like, I don't care about that. I care about right here, right now, I feel better because I exercised, because I worked out. That's a time and place thing. That's what we gain in time and place. When I go through my day, when a person goes through their day, and they know they live that day, time and place, they feel different. They feel different about how their day was. They feel accomplished. They feel good. A person wakes up. He comes to davening. He actually davens something. This is why so many people get so fed up with schooling, with so many different, with work. It's because we're living outside of the moment. We're living inappropriately. I don't mean inappropriately in some illicit way. I mean inappropriately that it's just not apropos to the moment that we're in. I'm living for getting home. I'm living for distracting myself. I'm living for. As opposed to living for that moment. For what they're going to do right then. And no matter what job you have, no matter what stage of life you're holding in, this is going to be the most important piece of information you need in order to accomplish anything. Think about any kid who has a taina or has word for taina in English? Huh? I'm losing my English. Has a complaint. Thank you. Huge word. He has a complaint. I don't know what's going on with me. Has a complaint against his parent. Right? As an actual complaint against his parent. It's that you might have been there. Right? You might have been there. Proximity doesn't equal relationship. You might have been there in the same house as me growing up. It doesn't mean we knew each other. It doesn't mean we were close. It doesn't mean you were there, but you weren't there. That was inappropriate of the parent. Why was that inappropriate of the parent? Because they were there, but they weren't doing the appropriate thing in that moment. Their mind was still on work. Their mind was still on the daf even. Their mind was still somewhere else. They weren't living in that moment appropriately. Marba Torah, Marba Chaim, the more I'm going to live life is the more I apply Torah to my life. The more I do that in its moment. And in that moment, I'm going to be happier. In that moment, I'm going to be better. In that moment, I'm going to feel more fulfilled because I did that moment properly. I can't tell you how many guys have walked into my office in past years. He already knows who he is. Who has walked into my office in past years, totally upset about something, had a good share, right? Nothing to do with what he was upset about. This was my Rebbe's teretz to me always. Rabbi Friedlander always used to tell me. Anytime I would come up in the morning with some issue or some, what do you call it? He'd be like, go learn, we'll talk about it in an hour. I'm like, all right. But he sat like 2 seats away, so he knew I was going to learn. He knew if I went to learn or not. Hour later, I didn't have the problem anymore. It's not that the problem got solved, by the way. That's not what happened. It's that I realized that the problem is just, it's either out of my control or it's just not really a problem. I was just trying to stall. You know how many problems we have in life that only come up when we have to do something that we're supposed to do? I had a bunch of backlog, mail and bills and responses I had to do the other day. It was stacking up in my house. So I also had to write an article for something. Anyone who knows me knows I dread writing. So I do it, I just dread it. And I don't know why. And I sat down to write the article, and about an hour later, my wife comes into the dining room where I was sitting, and she sees all the stacks of envelopes and all this stuff that were on this side, are either on this side or on the floor, around me. I went through all of it. I took care of it. She's like, wow, you must feel so accomplished. You just took care of all that stuff that was piling up. I was like, yeah, no, I just did it because I was procrastinating writing. That was it. It's the only reason I got through it. And then you write. And you sit there and you actually do the writing. It's easy. It's easy when you actually do it. So it wasn't a problem. It wasn't an actual issue. You'll do all these things to get around it, but at the end of the day, it's not that difficult. When the guys give up on math so quickly, give up on whatever subject it is so quickly, Gemara so quickly. When you actually sit down to do it with someone, and you leave behind all your notions of what your experiences in learning beforehand, all this stuff from beforehand, and you just let it all go, it all opens up and becomes so much easier. What did you do in that moment to allow that? You lived that moment. You allowed that moment. Think about it in reference to sleep, let's say. I don't know why I'm talking about so much about sleep, maybe because I just haven't slept in a while, but think about it in reference to sleep. If you go to bed and you have a million things on your mind, you're going to sleep well or you're not going to sleep well. You're really going to be able to get to sleep. And if you do sleep, you're going to be tossing and turning. That is just a sign of what you're doing all day long, by the way. When you're saying this is boring, nothing is boring. Everything can be interesting. No, learning is boring. No, it's not. Your brain just can't focus on it for longer than a minute because you have so much going on. Because we're not living in that moment. You're not allowing that moment to be what it is. Instead, we fight that moment. No, let's go do something else. Let's go for coffee. Let's do this. Let's do that. You're not allowing that moment to be what it's supposed to be. Oh, but I want control over all my moments. So go ahead. See how far you get. If we were truly in control of every one of our moments, we would never get out of bed. Why? We'd sleep. Now we know I don't really want to get up right now. I don't really want to wake up. I want to keep sleeping. And in this moment, I really want to keep sleeping. I get up because I know that in 10 minutes from now, I'm going to want to be doing that other thing, and if I'm still in bed, this is not going to work. So I get up. No, you can't get up. You're not allowed to get up now. Even if it's something you want to do. Because this moment, you wanted to sleep, so you got to keep going. If you're just going to be following your whims, you're never going to do anything. Because in any given moment, we don't want to do anything. What do you want to do? Like, truly want to do? I want to be wealthy. So if I could sign you, so I want a job that will make me wealthy. An occupation, a career that will make me very wealthy. So if I could sign you a $35 million check right now, you're wealthy. Now you don't need a job anymore. It wasn't a job you wanted. You just wanted the wealth. And what are you going to do with the wealth? It's going to be further of the same thing. Of just reacting to a moment. And again, reacting to what's. Now this is the real difference in our Mishnah. The real difference, where the Maharal over here we will put in for a second, is this is the real difference in our Mishnah. The difference between the beginning of the Mishnah and the end of the Mishnah is the end of the Mishnah is kulei spiritual, is kulei neshama, as opposed to nefesh. It's kulei everything outside of ourselves. So when we're living mar b'Torah, mar b'chaim, when we're living that way, we are not being controlled by instinct. We are not being controlled by trauma. We're not being controlled by anxiety. We're not being controlled by fear. Because in the land of neshama, these things don't exist. This is larger. When we go mar b'Torah, mar b'chaim, what we're saying is, I'm choosing the discipline of my life, the furthering of who I am, and the effect I have on those around me, over just doing what I want in any given moment. Because we tend to want everything all at once. I want to do whatever I want. I want to do whatever I want. So if I want to sleep, I want to be able to sleep. If I want to be up, I want to be up. If I want to party, I want to party. If I don't want to party, I don't want to. Whatever I want. I also want everyone's respect. And now I don't mean respect like they have to look up to me, but they have to respect me as a person. I want everyone's respect. I don't want people to not listen to me. I don't want people to brush me off. I want people to take me seriously. Well, those two don't go hand in hand. Why would anyone take you seriously? You aren't a thing. I don't mean to say it like this, but literally, what is the difference between you and a dog? I ask this to myself all the time. What is the difference today? In today that I live, this day that I live, what was the difference between me and a dog? A dog woke up in his backyard, he looked around, he got himself some food, he got himself some whatever cropped up into his brain, that's what he ran to do. And if it was something bad, then his owner came and yanked his chain. He was like, I don't want to yank my chain. And if it was something good, the owner said, nice, good doggy. And that was it. That's the life of a dog. What did I do different than a dog today? Every instinct that popped up into my head, every urge, every desire, every thought, I just allowed to play out. So if I wanted to sleep in, I slept in, the way a dog would. A dog can't control that. If a dog goes and bites someone, we don't blame the dog. You know why? It's not the dog's fault. It's the owner's fault. A dog is designed to bite. That's what they do. They defend, they protect, that's what they do. In the wrong hands, it could be a very dangerous animal. It just goes and does its thing. So when we say, I don't know what you want, I'm just a guy who does a thing, I'm a teenager, I'm a kid, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, you're not. You're a human being. If you want to be that, then fine. I'm going to take your opinion the same thing as a dog's opinion. I don't really care what a dog thinks about something. You give a dog food, you don't really care if it likes it. Just like eat. You put a dog in its cage, it's like, I would much rather be running around like I was designed to do, like, you need to be in a cage right now, actually. You know, sorry, buddy. You don't care about its opinion. Dogs try, funny dogs, like, they'll try to convince their owners that they're like, no, it's time to go for a walk. They're bringing them their leash. Like, no, you're not, I'm not an idiot. I know it's not time for a walk. Not stupid. You think it's time for a walk? Who cares what you think? You're a dog. You only want to go, I know your agenda. You just want to get out of here. So why would I listen? Who gets listened to? The person who proves that their opinion matters. That they're taking their life seriously. That their goal and agenda to every day is not, how long can I sleep for? Their goal and agenda to every day is not, how can I indulge myself today more than I did yesterday? It's not even more than I did yesterday. That's more thought out. It's just, how can I indulge every desire that comes into my head? When I'm hungry, how can I eat? When I'm bored, how can I keep myself distracted? Not, how can I be better? Not, how can I be a deeper person? Not, how can I grow? The difference between a dog and a person is that in any given moment, a dog does not choose what it's doing. A person does. Choice means that this is not only an urge or desire or taiva or concept that I have that just cropped up in my head by way of instinct. It's something that is feeding who I am as a person and making me grow better, which means it's difficult. Choices are usually, when you're faced with a choice, the reason we call it a choice is usually because there's a more difficult route and you want to know if there's a way I could take the easier one. That's why in any decision, it's usually the more difficult one that's the right answer. Usually. Marba Torah Marba Chaim is saying, know the way to live, that you're making choices by the moment. That you're able to rein yourself in the moment and say, here, I'm going to sit and do this and put everything else out of my head. Now, it takes practice. This isn't an easy thing to do. This is a lifelong process, as a matter of fact. It's very hard. Like I mentioned before, the example I gave that example on purpose about parenting. To be present is very difficult. It's very, very hard. But to work your way up there starts in something like a classroom. It does. Now, certain people have difficult time sitting. I'm not saying not, but then figure out the way that you can live that moment. There's always ways that you can. Just accepting that I can't is not okay. I want to figure out how I can. How am I able? All right, guys. Shabbat shalom. Yeah, it's Thursday. Oh. Shabbat shalom.